Alright, so you may be wondering why I'm filming this area here real quick, which I can't see real well. I couldn't get a great parking space, but there's a very distinct reason why I'm filming this area. This guy thinks I'm filming him and I'm not, and I really hate when people do that, just because I'm pointing a camera in your general direction does not mean I'm filming you. But anyway, there's a very specific reason why I'm filming this area. And I'm going to move now because I'm actually parked illegally, but I want you to keep that area in mind because it is the basis for my story real quick. So, I can't give you the exact time or the exact location. It was somewhere on that strip I just pointed at. A young man back sometime in the late 1950s, or it might even have been the early 1960s, a young man boarded a bus here in Iowa City, Iowa, headed towards Los Angeles, California with a dream of making it in the movie industry as an actor. That young man was James Tolkan, who many of us remember and loved in the Back to the Future films. Now, real quick here, I first saw the Back to the Future films. I saw them all in a weekend. I was spending the night over at a friend's house. I would have been about 6 years old, over at a friend's house that I stayed over at all the time when I was a kid. His name was Chris Thompson. And we had gone to the movie store, and his mom had rented Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 for us. Now, here's kind of a funny story about that. We couldn't read back then. This is before we learned how to read. He was 5, I was 6, and so the whole reading thing, I was beginning to learn how to read, but hadn't, got to the point where I could read, especially Roman numerals. So we actually watched the movies out of order. We watched Back to the Future 2 first, and then Back to the Future 1, and then Back to the Future 3. So we always used to call them Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future Part 0, and Back to the Future Part 3, which I get a kick out of. But getting back to James Tolkan real quick, and why I think this is such a special thing to be showing this area and, filming the area that I'm in right now, is that James grew up in Michigan, and then he moved to Arizona later on in life, graduated high school in Arizona, and went to college for a short amount of time in Arizona. And then he joined the military. And right around the time his service in the military was coming up, his father had bought farmland. And I really wish I could pinpoint the exact location. I actually wrote to James a couple of different times, both handwritten letter and emails, trying to get him to respond back to me. He never did, unfortunately. But somewhere between Cedar Rapids and Center Point, Iowa, Urbana, Iowa area, they purchased some land and raised some cattle. And when James got out of the military, he came and helped his dad with the duties of raising cattle here in Iowa. And during that time, he decided that he wanted to continue to get his education, get a college degree. So he went to College in Cedar Rapids, got an undergraduate degree, and then he ended up going to the University of Iowa, which is where I'm driving around right now, to get a graduate degree in theater. And after he obtained his graduate degree in 1956, he continued working for his father in the cattle raising industry. And his dad was grooming him to take over the family business and, to eventually become a full-time cattle farmer. And the way I understand it, James' job at the time was to drive the cattle to market. I'm pretty sure that's what his main duty was the driving duties of, hauling the cattle from place to place. And as James was doing that, his dad could tell that this wasn't really what James wanted to do, that James had other ideas and James had other dreams in life. So his dad finally sat him down one day and he said, look, he goes, I know you don't really want to do this. Tell me what you really want to do with your life. And James had the courage to tell his dad, Dad, I want to be an actor. I want to be in movies. I want to be in films. That's what I want to do with my life. And his dad said something to him along the lines of, well, I don't know if you can do it or not. It's a long shot, but I know that if I don't at least give you the opportunity to fail, that you will hold it against me the rest of your life. So his dad bought him a bus ticket and gave him some startup money to get started in Los Angeles for an apartment, and said, here you go. This is enough money to last you X amount of months, or maybe even half a year, I can't remember what it was. And he said, here you go. Good luck. So James boarded a bus somewhere along that area that I showed you, and he got on a bus and went out to LA. I think it actually took him some time. I don't know if it took him a full decade or not, but it wasn't like an overnight deal. He was out in Hollywood, Los Angeles area for quite some time before he finally got his first break. And, here we are all these years later, and we know him as Mr. Strickland from all 3 Back to the Future films. He was in Masters of the Universe, Problem Child Part 2, Top Gun, War Games, Dick Tracy. Has all these great credits to his name. And it just makes you wonder, this could have been a guy that decided to never tell his dad his dreams, to never go after what it was he really wanted in life. And this could have been a guy, all these times in my life where I've traveled from Cedar Rapids to Waterloo, probably done that over 300 times in my life. This could have been a guy that I, passed on the road or saw at a gas station, hauling cattle somewhere, and it just makes you wonder, are there other people in life that, could have had the successes and the triumphs that James Tolkan had, but they decided not to chase their dreams, and they ended up, doing whatever else they ended up doing. So I needed to share that. I needed to get that off my chest tonight, because I just think it's such a cool thing to know that someone from my area, someone from a area that I'm in every day of my life, an area that I drive past all the time, someone had a dream, someone had a vision, someone decided they were going to take the risk, take the chance, go after it, and they made it. So in memory of James Tolkan, phenomenal actor, a guy that I know that every one of us out there, that cherish the Back to the Future films, we think about what it would be like without Michael J. Fox, what it would be like without Christopher Lloyd or Leah Thompson or Thomas Wilson, But I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way about James Tolkan. I don't think the films would be the same without our Mr. Strickland. So, in memory of James Tolkan,